Let's look at an example of successful U.S. foreign policy, or I should say, I guess, successful from the perspective of the interests that usually guide U.S. foreign policy. In Brazil, I'm going to repeat this every single time I talk about this. In 2018, you had a president running who had already been a successful two-term president that had lifted conservatively 30 million people out of poverty, and then handed off to his successor, who continued a lot of these policies successfully, and ended up being impeached in what is now sort of in our amnesia, basically just universally recognized as illegitimate. Of course, I'm talking about Lula da Silva and Dilma Rousseff and Brazil. And Brazil is a story we cover in a place we cover closely on this show because of our connection and our advocacy around Lula, and because the way that we see both, there's an enormous amount that we need to learn, in fact, from the Workers' Party, particularly when we talk about reviving labor here, and also because of the bigger global trends in terms of the rise of far-right governments and how U.S. foreign policy and U.S. domestic policy has facilitated that. Jair Bolsonaro would not be in office without the Lava Jato process, period. And Jair Bolsonaro now, and we'll get to this in a second, has been so obscene and so out of bounds and so buffoonish and so stupid that he really can only resonate in the Donald Trump, Breitbart, Steve Bannon world. That being said, 2018, people like Ian Bremmer from Eurasia Group, quite interested to see if, in spite of his toxic masculinity, I believe Ian Bremmer or some other embarrassing bullshit like that, woke nonsense like that, actually wanted to see if Bolsonaro was the one to implement the reforms Brazil needed. Wall Street Journal supported Bolsonaro, and Bolsonaro would not be in a position without the political prosecution of Lula. Let's pull up this tweet, this quote from Paulo Guedes, who is Bolsonaro's economics minister, because this is actually really the mindset that folks wanted, I think, in Washington. And this really reflects the kind of global neoliberal mindset. This is a report from Reuters. Alex Huckley pulled this quote. This is a report from Reuters on the Bolsonaro regime's or Bolsonaro government's response to COVID. This is what Paulo Guedes said. It's good that deaths are concentrated among the old. That will improve our economic performance as it will reduce our pension deficit. Now, be very clear that this is a guy, he's the one that the Wall Street types were like, this is the serious person. Mm-hmm. Sure, there's a bunch of crazy culture warrior types, but this is a serious Chicago, economist type. He's going to help us privatize, and he's going to, go to war with the unions and go to war with the pensions and help implement even more austerity and primitive accumulation.
You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.